And Amy Cokayne will come round the corner and the hooker will put boot to ball.
Out into the open goes Feaunati.
Here we go, Sarah Bern.
I don't think until I was probably in secondary school it actually hit me that I did look different. So I was kind of like, oh, my sisters look like this and they're so beautiful and stunning. And I was always bigger, but it was just very different. And I think when you're in secondary school, different can be seen as a negative. You're listening to the England Rugby Podcast, O2 Inside Line. I'm Sarah Bern. I'm Sarah Bern and I play for Bristol Bears in England. So I'm a prop, which means that when you see everyone in the middle of the pitch like hitting each other like this, generally I'm at the front of that. I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. It's pretty hardcore, but no, it's good fun now. I've learned how to do it properly. So a really good prop is someone who can scrum well, can line out lift well, is very strong, probably naturally. And also, I think nowadays has really good handling abilities, probably one that can, get the ball free, especially in the women's game. I think what makes me a good prop is that kind of built like upside down triangles. So I'm nice and broad, which is great for scrummaging, strong. And I think also actually for me, it's having a career in the back row and in the centres as a child, which helps me to develop those kind of different skills and then also learn how to scrummage. So yeah. As a kid, I think in school I was quite excitable. I always worked really hard. Like I was dyslexic, so it wasn't something that I was naturally good at school, but I was very creative, very happy, very positive, probably a little bit cheeky sometimes. And I think my sisters would definitely describe me as probably stubborn, energetic, and very driven. So I actually grew up around Twickenham, not too far. I grew up in like Kingston upon Thames and then later moved out to Esher. So I grew up around this area. So for me, first playing at London Irish, and then moved to Esher. It was great because I had all my friends here. My director of rugby or development officer was Maggie Alfonsi. We actually got the opportunity to train in Twickenham a fair few times. And actually Alex Osterbury, who's now the Sarries head coach, was also my development coach when I was younger as well. So I had a really good support network around me and London South East were the best. We had a saying, we don't lose. I have two older sisters. They are 10 and 11 years older than me. They might shoot me if I get that wrong, but I think that's the right age gap. They grew up doing ballet, tap, modern. One of my sisters actually went to London Fashion School for a bit and was a buyer for Bowden's. And then my other sister travelled the world, a great, very adventurous girl. And, they've given me beautiful nieces and nephews. They're a lot older than me and they're definitely very different. I probably was the more tomboy of the family, which my dad got really excited about. I was really sporty. Like I said, I was dyslexic, so I struggled. When I was younger, reading and writing and I think when you're really young, they're kind of the bits that are focused on. I also just couldn't remember maths. I would do it in the class, I'd be great. And then the next day, teacher would be like, oh, what's the next thing? And I just wouldn't have a clue what we did yesterday. So it was probably really frustrating for my teachers. But I actually got on really well with all my teachers, had some great help. I think due to that, my creative outlets were art and sport. And I played literally every single sport. I played hockey, cricket, basketball, netball, swimming, skiing, everything. I was in every team. Actually, I first started playing when I was 10. My cousin started playing rugby at London Irish and he probably found me really annoying because I would just kind of follow every sport he did. But we were very close in age, so there's only a month between us. So kind of my older brother. But I think I was bigger than him, so it felt like my little brother. I was there and my uncle actually said to me, oh, Sarah, you'd be great at this, give it a go. So I gave it a go. And I remember in my first session not having a clue what was happening, just was running around. And the guy said, oh, come down to a tournament we're having, a little minis festival. We'll see if any other teams need extra players. So I went and played for London Welsh for my first tournament. And this guy stood with this tackle pad and he went, right, Sarah. He was like, just run at me as hard as you can and hit the pad. And I went, okay. And I ran at him as hard as I could. And I think because he thought I was a girl, I wouldn't hit him very hard, and he fell backwards and did a backwards roll, and he was like, yep, that'll do. So I think from then they kind of took me under their wing, and it was probably difficult at the start. Like, boys didn't want to pass me the ball or stuff like that. But I think after a few tournaments where I managed to get the ball and just run through and score, they were like, pass the ball to Sarah, pass the ball to Sarah. So yeah, I think I ended up in my third year with them being captain. So yeah, it was quite a turnaround. So in that time, I was very shy, I was quite quiet. And rugby really brought me out of my shell, and it was nice to have an environment where I felt really naturally enjoyed something. I was good at it, and kind of people then being like, oh, like, she's actually good at this. And like kind of jumping on that bandwagon and wanting to all be good together. And I think that was the biggest thing, that everyone just wanted to win together. And it sounds so silly at like under 10s, but it's the same thing that travels through your whole career. Is like a lot of time in rugby, people just want to be good at it together, and you create those friends and those friendships. So I think if anyone is young, starting out, and is in that spot where it is daunting, thinking like of giving up, just stick with it for a bit, because actually, you know, you can have a whole career from it, and you can create some really good memories and friends. For me, I was never told like, you're bad at English or you're bad at maths, because I understood it, I could do it really well. It was more of a retention and also then a processing to get it onto the page and get it out. So I think I was really lucky because my mum worked in the school that I was in, and she was friends with all the teachers. So I had quite a bit of extra help in terms of, I think it wasn't until I was in year 6 going to secondary school that I actually got a diagnosis, and I had to go and have one outside of school. I just remember the lady being like, yes, you're very dyslexic, and actually dyspraxic, because they come hand in hand. It can be slightly different. Mine's like a processing dyspraxia, so being a professional athlete, you don't always hear that side, or you would think it's something different. But for me, it's a processing delay, which in rugby is never, you don't have it ever. But I do notice in training now, sometimes it takes me a couple of repetitions, like I'm quite clumsy, quite fall over quite a lot, and it's just getting that muscle memory in. So I still now to every day, like still face and struggle with my dyslexia, but I had some great support when I was younger. It was something I probably feared in terms of reading out in class, but I would actually just go up to the teacher and say, I can't do it, because it's not because I can't, but it's because I'm embarrassed of it. And then most of my teachers say that's okay. None of my teachers really made me read through it, maybe one or two. But I didn't enjoy that element of it. But everything else, I always got really encouraged to just carry on being myself and not letting it be a huge hurdle. So I actually did really well in school because of that, yeah.
Passed out towards the far side. O'Donnell was there. And it's Bern again. Sarah Bern! An absolute animal today.
I'm Graham Bern, and I am the father of Sarah Bern. We didn't realise she was dyslexic. Most people were unaware of it, and then when we found out, the headmaster took control of things. That was the beginning of her journey to flourish a bit more. When you've got dyslexia and you don't know that you've got it's difficult. And then when you understand that you've got a bit of an issue, you learn how to deal with it, and it brings you much more confidence in yourself. And I think that really helped her. When she found rugby at age 11, completely by accident, by chance, she really started to grow then. That's probably the best thing she's ever found for her. I'm really proud of the way all of her sisters are dealing with their own challenges in life. Being Sarah's dad, well, it gets me a lot of kudos because of the exposure that the women's game's getting now. A lot of people know her, and some of my friends call me Sarah Bern's famous dad. But there's a lot of proud moments. Obviously, her first cap, which was in Salt Lake City, and Jason Leonard put her on the pitch, which was nice. Her first start against New Zealand in Rotorua when we beat them in their backyard. She had a great game. Her nomination for World Player of the Year, that was quite big. I'm proud of her for the person she's become.
So for me, my dyslexia is very much, there's a processing delay and a retention delay. So like I can literally free write like this, and I'll reread it and I'll think, oh, that looks perfect. And there's like 4 words missing. And like, because my brain is telling me that it's all there. A lot of people say, oh, do the letters move around? For me, it's not. And also I'm really good at reading a word if it's got like a start and the end of a word, I can just guess the middle bit, which is fine. So I don't notice spelling mistakes. That's probably the biggest struggle, is probably not noticing the spelling mistakes, or a lot of it is to do with, I was just saying, I think in pictures. So I'm really good with remembering. So if I ever, drove to someone's house and I did it once, I would remember what the streets looked like and I'd be able to get there really quickly. But if you told me what road name it was, or even like the person's name, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I just can't remember the letters and things like that. So I think in pictures always, so in line-outs, I have to go through them because I remember it as in who's moved where and what happened. Whereas if it was just written down in front of me in shapes and numbers, not a clue. There's literally no point me looking at that piece of paper because I just straight over the head. And then in terms of my dyspraxia, it's something that I've probably really thought about recently, and apparently it's a sight delay. So there's a sight, so I see something and then there's a slight delay with the processing to my brain. Tiny. It's not like I see something and then it takes ages. It's like a split second. In Bristol, we do loads of mini drills, and there's these little things where Dave gets you to get in partners and you have 2 different shaped balls and you drop one, you have to react to catch it. And he says, 3 years, he goes, every day you do it and you'll get better, you get better. Right, I've done it for 3 years and I'm still as terrible as I was on the first day because it's just me processing where the ball's going. And sometimes I'm really good, some days I'm good, but it takes me a while. So every time I come back into camp and we stop doing it, it takes me like a good 3 months to pick it back up again. So it's a lot about just that memory relay and stuff like that. And I am quite clumsy and just walk into things, which doesn't help when you're really broad and you already walk into things anyway. So that's my type of dyslexia, my type of neurodivergent. But it allows me to be really creative and think differently because I think in pictures. So it gives me a whole different scope of how things look. And in rugby, it's great because it's all pictures, it's always moving parts, it's very dynamic. So it doesn't really affect me too much in rugby. And that's actually an area where I thrive in it because I can kind of see where shapes and things are going to go. And so, I feel like it helps me. Then I went and did my A-levels, and I think everyone was kind of like, you should do a BTEC, or I don't think A-levels is for you. And I was like, I don't care. And I think that's something I've always had is I don't care. If it's tough, it's tough. If it's not, but great. I actually did really well in PE and I got an A in PE, which I think everyone was like, whoa. But I struggled with my other subjects. So PE is something I thrived in because it was something that I could relate to rugby. So every time I was learning something, it was learning how to be a better rugby player. So then when I went to do a degree, I think because I thought that academics wasn't my strength, I was doing a degree that would favour my rugby career. So I did strength and conditioning. Everything I was learning again, I was trying to input into my rugby career and trying to be the best athlete that I could. And I actually managed to pass my degree, which I think everyone was a bit like, wow. But my dissertation actually got published. So my dissertation, along with Jason Moran and some other people who worked at the university, it's now in the Australian Journal of Strength and Conditioning, which is, mind-blowing, yeah. It was on female athletes, and if there was a difference between training in the daytime versus training post-work and in the evening, and there isn't a difference. So really useful.
There's Bern on the break again, Hunt's inside of it, she doesn't need her. Sarah Bern, well, that is just ridiculous. Tight heads are not supposed to score tries like that.
I'm Amy Cokayne, I play for Leicester Tigers and England. Sarah Bern on the pitch, I would say ruthless. When that girl's running, I'm pretty sure there's not many people that want to stand in front of it. Off the pitch, she's very caring. She's done a lot for the team in terms of making our whole situation a lot better. So yeah, probably that caring side that you might not get from what you see on the pitch.
And here comes Davis, long pass out wide to Bern, who hung out in that channel a lot against Italy, and here she goes again. Try and stop her. Oh, what a pass to breach! That is wonderful.
I'm Maddie Feaunati and I play for Exeter Chiefs and England Roses. Sarah Bern, on the pitch, she's like a back, a flanker, a prop, just everywhere. She's so powerful. Off the pitch, she's very caring, she's very loving. She wants to talk to you, she wants to get to know you. And yeah, she does some pretty cool stuff off the pitch as well, so her personality is great.
It's up to one of the replacements, Bern. Bern is going for glory. You want impact off the bench. You call for Sarah Bern. Wowee.
Body image, I think it's great in rugby because you need people of all different shapes and sizes. So for me, it brought out a lot of positivity because I was always bigger and broader, and I was very conscious about how I looked, especially being in a house full of girls. And especially when your sisters are into fashion and dance, and you come out kind of broad, looking exactly like your dad. Like, I don't think until I was probably in secondary school it actually hit me that I did look different. I was very happy just being myself. And it wasn't because no one picked on me or anything like that. It was just more of a self-notice. I was kind of like, oh, my sisters look like this and they're so beautiful and stunning. I was always bigger and really sporty, which was great, but it was just very different. And I think when you're in secondary school, different can be seen as a negative. So I think that's really hard for kids. And I think especially women have a lot of pressure on them to be a certain shape and a certain size. I think you see it now, and there was GB athletes that spoke out about it. And I do think you have to, still to this day, have to look certain ways for brands to want to work with you. And literally last year, I know an athlete getting a brand deal taken away because they didn't look a certain way. So even in 2024, there's still massive hurdles in that area, which I just think if you were to look at male counterparts for me, and I think the male athletes are brilliant. You know, you've got Ellis Gensh, who's fantastic. You know, he's with some really great brands, and same with Carl Sinclair's with some really great brands. You know, there's just not that for the women's front row because we do look different. Even though we are great performers, we're in one of the best teams in the world. I feel like there's still a massive barrier there that I think brands need to kind of open their eyes up and see, like, actually, it's not always what you look like, it's what you produce. But yeah, I think there's definitely work to be done there. I think I've been very lucky. I've always been in an environment where actually my size has been the best thing for me. I played sevens a lot when I was growing up. I don't think people would look at me and think, wow, you're a sevens player. And I actually remember being at a sevens tournament. I think it was Heather Fisher at the time. I cannot remember. I don't want to name drop or get anyone in trouble, but I remember she was there and as an England rugby player. And I think she picked me for player of the tournament. And I remember saying, like, I didn't think you would be this good at sevens. And I don't think that was a dig at how I look, but I think you do. Like, there's a bias of you looking around and you think, oh, this, the fast one there or this. And actually sevens was my forte because it was all about power and speed. And that's kind of the elements that I thrive in. I think it's just a kind of a bias set by society that I think needs to start changing. Moving from being a back row / centre, I actually lost loads of weight because I was very conscious about it in school. And I actually was rubbish at rugby. I remember going to a talent development camp and I was just getting battered. And I remember talking to my friend like, geez, like I actually need to make sure I'm recovering and eating well when I don't feel like I have as much momentum as I used to have and stuff like that. So I made an effort then to really hone down on my nutrition and make sure I was getting the right calories in, the right macros and stuff like that. And I was really young, so I think people at the time probably thought I was a bit intense. I think when you struggle with how you look, especially around weight, and especially as a female, there's definitely elements there of, well, you hear of like eating disorders, stuff like that. And I wouldn't say that's an uncommon thing, which is quite sad. So I then tried to flip that and be like, well, how do I become the best athlete that I can be? So I came away and I lost loads of weight and I was playing centre, and then I got told I'd only ever make it as a 9, and then I got told I'd only ever make it as a fullback. And I just remember thinking, I don't think those are right. Like, I just don't think they're for me. And then I settled at 6 and I went to Hartbury College and I was playing 6 and I played 6 for under 20s. And then Matt Ferguson came in and he saw me do some bear crawls and he went, yeah, I want you to play prop. And I went, no. I just went, no. I had an archaic view of what a prop looked like. And I just went, no, I've come so far away from that. No, don't want to do it. And he went, oh, wait. Just before you leave, I want you to be a 6. I want you to play as a 6, but I want to teach you how to scrum. I think when he worded that to me, he was very much like, there's a role that I want you to fill and there's something I want you to learn and add to your skill set. But you can change that and you can play however you want to play. And it kind of flipped how I thought about the role of a prop. And I thought, actually, no, I can be myself. I'm not trying to be like shoved down and told to put loads of weight on all that stuff. He didn't want that at all. He just wanted me to learn how to scrummage, which I can advise takes years and years and years. But I think from then, my brain switched, and Izzy Noel-Smith at the time, they really took me under her wing, and Laura Keats as well. And actually my size, my broadness, my strength, my power became a real super strength. And I loved training and I loved being part of the Red Roses, and I really learned to love being bigger. And love actually that feeling of, even now, when I walk outside, in camp it's fine because everyone's big. Like, you got 7-foot drafts running around. You've got like, even our backs are strong and broad. So you don't feel big, but when you actually go, we call it back into like normal life, you're walking around and you think, geez, I am actually pretty big. But I love it now. I think I'm this brilliant, rugby player that is in the best environment that I can be, part of this amazing team. And I'm so lucky that I have that as a job, something I love that I can do every day. So I totally see it as a flip side. And I think if I wasn't the shape and the size and the way I was now, I wouldn't be able to be playing for England. I love fashion. My sister's actually was a fashionista. She's now a mum. She's still very cool. She loves fashion. Both my sisters are really into it. My whole family is actually. I think if you saw my mum, people normally go, oh wow, your mum looks so trendy all the time. So I kind of grew up, but obviously being a bit more tomboy, I really like the street styles and stuff like that. So I definitely probably spend too much money on clothes. But I just love it. I love piecing stuff together. I enjoy those being a bit different, being a bit trendy. And I love Bristol. So Bristol is great because I always make the joke like you could walk out in a bin bag and no one would really care. Everyone would be like, all right, mate, like no one would say anything. Which I think is such a nice space to live in because you could live however you want and everyone's very positive about it, which is great. And that's why I love living in Bristol because it really helps you kind of broaden that creative horizon and you can dress and be whoever you want to be. So I love those elements. My little nephew, Finlay, he is ADHD autistic. There was a bit of a struggle to get his diagnosis. There was also then an unknowing whether it was ADHD or autism or if it was one or the other or the two together. And I think it's definitely, now he's a bit older, because they can't diagnose when you're really young, which can be really tricky because if you have a child who is kind of presenting differently, but you can't get a diagnosis and you can't get the help, it can be really tough on the families. So, my sister definitely had a tough couple of years with Finn, but he is just the most amazing little kid. Like, he's hilarious. He is cheeky. Like, I do have to say he is cheeky, but he's so funny. He loves jokes. He loves cuddles. He loves me. I can say that. He does love me. And he's just brilliant. And it really pulls on my heartstrings because sometimes I feel like he can get quite misjudged because his disability is not a visual one, so it's not that you can see. I think there was a story of my sister was at the airport and Finlay was getting overwhelmed and overstimulated and he had a meltdown, which can be really tough to watch, but he genuinely can't help it. And I think a family was like, can you control your child? And my sister was like, he has autism and ADHD, we actually can't, he has to have this meltdown so that we can, re-regulate him. I feel for him because I feel like he's going to grow up in a world where he doesn't probably feel like he fits, which is the bit that pulls on my heart a little bit. Sorry. So, I hope my legacy is that, we can try and make the world better for him and for kids like Finlay. And it's a tough time for my sister, but she puts her best foot forward every day. And so does Finn. They get up, they try again, and they just go, right, this is a new day. And that's what I find really inspiring, I want to show my sisters that I'm strong by being a rugby player and promoting women in sport and showing Finlay and George and Tilly and Izzy, my other nieces, that they can be whatever they want to be, no matter what challenges they may face or what they may feel that they can't do. I want to show them that they can be whatever they want to be. With that in mind, we have worked with the Wooden Spoon charity. We've opened up loads of sensory rooms, hopefully in schools and stuff, which is why I love working with that charity. But they also helped me and helped the RFU to create a sensory room. So Finlay, he knows literally every single person's name on the team and he sits there and he watches the game. And my sister used to be my biggest fan and she would come to every game and she couldn't because Finlay just gets too overwhelmed. And he did come to the France game and we managed to get him a little quiet space, but even then it was just too many people. So I felt like there must be so many other families that have a similar situation where actually there may be a child or a young adult or an adult who loves sport, who loves those environments, but just cannot deal with the sensory issues that come along with that. So yeah, I thought, why not? There must be a room here that we can make a space in that people can use, that they can come and enjoy, families can come and enjoy. And so yeah, hopefully now Finlay can come and he can shout out Holly Aitchison, Hannah Bottoman, Mackenzie Carson. He loves Emily Scarrett because Mackenzie's a 1 and I'm a 3, so he likes 13s. He thinks that's me and Mac, which I wish, me and Mac both wish we were Emily Scarrett. So yeah, hopefully he can come and watch and cheer us all on. So yeah, that's been pretty cool. And it's something I want to leave as a legacy is, continuing to helping other rugby clubs build sensory spaces for people who need them. So my partner is Mackenzie Carson. We've been together for a while now. When she flew over from Canada to first play in the Premiership, she actually came to Bristol Bears first as a 6. I remember they were trying to make her play hooker. So then there was the instant connection because I was like, I was a 6 who got told to be a prop. We just became friends. And then, grew fairly recently. Well, not too recently, a while ago now, but it feels recent, which is really nice. I think it's lovely to be with someone who actually is your actual best friend. But I think people always sometimes think, it's pretty tough. It must be a tough environment, where actually it's not. It's very special because how often do you get to work with someone who is also wants the best for you but you are also both working on a goal to whatever that goal might be together. So it's actually really nice, especially if you've had a tough day. Someone's there to pick you up. And sometimes it's actually a little bit more of a hindrance. So sometimes you look at them and it's that person and you look them in the eye, then you just start crying. You're like, if you weren't here, I wouldn't be crying right now. But no, a lot of the time it's amazing. The only time I'd say it's definitely been a weird scenario. I think a lot of people also say this must have been so weird. So the Premiership final, it was my first game back from injury. Max playing loose head and I'm playing tight head. So you're playing in a Premiership final, but you both want each other to play well. But we did have to have a conversation. I had to say, once we step over that line, like, we don't know each other anymore. Like, we do. We have to do that because it's for your team. And obviously I would have loved to have won the final and I would have loved to have won that with Bristol. But actually it was nice because then when Gloucester won, I was actually really proud of my friends from Gloucester and Mackenzie, which I'm sure Dave will be mad at that I said. But I think it would have been felt the same way. So if Bristol had won it. So that's probably the one scenario that was very, very unique. And being actually head to head, you've got like obviously other couples that are playing the league and playing the teams, but I don't think they're so actually head to head means like headbutting each other in the scrums. Like, I don't think it's exactly the same. But yeah, no, it's been really good fun and yeah, I absolutely love it. So yeah.